The first time that a hairstylist turned me away, I felt like I couldn't breathe. She took one look at my frizzy hair flopping in the wind, and she was terrified. I tried to massage her and tell her, no, it's okay. I have a scheduled appointment. But that wasn't the issue. She was afraid to touch my hair. I was 25, living in Taiwan, alone, and all I wanted was a haircut. Still, she shut the doors in my face. And I remember standing outside the salon, looking through the gleaming glass windows and the sparkly, state-of-the-art hair dryers, the happy, chatty customers. I realized that none of them looked like me. None of them had hair like mine. My roots are very diverse, not just the roots of my hair, but the roots of my heritage. My mom was from Vietnam, and my dad is from Nigeria. Growing up in America, I felt like I had to choose between being Black and being Asian. My father was constantly ignored by cashiers, and I watched him also be routinely stopped by officers. He taught me that being African was a burden. Meanwhile, my mother taught me that being Asian could be my escape hatch. So, my mom took me to the hair salon to get my hair chemically straightened, a lot like this. Back then, my hair was this thicket of tangled curls that my coaches and my teachers alike told me needed to be tamed. Translation, it needed to look less Black and more Asian. No one taught me that being Black could be beautiful. I only knew that being Black could get me killed, and being Asian might protect me. So my mom went to the salon with me every 3 months, like clockwork. The hairstylist would lather on this thick white paste atop my head, and she would tell me to sit underneath a heated, hooded hairdryer for hours. And I held in my breath so I wouldn't inhale the noxious fumes that were all around me. The heat would release these harsh, toxic chemicals that would seep into my scalp and destroy my textured African tresses, scorching my curls into obedience. I didn't do my hair. My hair did me. After I graduated from college, I thought that by moving to Asia, I'd finally be embraced. And every so often I'd go to the hair salon, but it'd be more of the same. Countless stylists who were afraid to touch my hair. Finally, after living for 5 years in Taiwan, I found a hairstylist who agreed to cut my messy mane. She glided her shears like poetry in motion, cutting off my frayed ends with perfect precision. She made my curls bounce with verve. And she made me feel beautiful in a continent that disparages dark skin. Last year, I moved back to America to start a graduate program at Harvard, but something was terribly wrong. My head felt woozy, my heart raced, and my neck bulged like a balloon. It felt like someone was taking their hands and wrapping it around my windpipe, slowly choking me to death. So I went to a hospital in Cambridge to get it checked out. But still, the young, male, white doctor stared back at me and said, "I'm sorry, miss, but I don't see anything wrong with you. And we're not going to waste our hospital resources to do a CT scan for you. There's nothing we can do." I had never felt more powerless in my life. Several weeks later, I was rushed to the ER, but this time I was in critical condition. I was riddled with blood clots, and my heart was struggling to pump blood to the rest of my body. I was literally gasping for air. 5 months ago, an oncologist diagnosed me with a rare, aggressive form of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. A tumor the size of a grapefruit was filling my chest cavity and crushing my lungs. I felt so alone. Other than the orderlies and the janitors, I looked around and I rarely saw people who looked like me, not on the cancer ward and not on my medical team. But I didn't have time to think about that. Almost immediately, a nurse dug an IV into my arm, hooked me up to an infusion machine, and started me on chemo, which still courses through my veins today. Having poison pumped into my body every 3 weeks was excruciating. I lost my sense of smell and taste. I suffer from neuropathy, night sweats, hot flashes, panic attacks, blurred vision, and even vaginal atrophic bleeding. But actually, losing my hair was the most painful part of having cancer. I watched it fall out in big clumps, filling my bathtub and covering my pillows like carnage. So I took a page from the playbook of my childhood, hiding behind my Asianness and escaping from my Blackness. I bought 2 wigs. I wore my curly-haired wig with my friends and family when I wanted to be like myself and feel comfortable. And I donned this shiny, straight-haired wig along with my Harvard sweatshirt when I needed to go to the hospital for chemo infusions. The Harvard sweatshirt and the straight hair were meant to camouflage me like a chameleon, to shed my black skin and morph me into a more palatable Asian shape. I wore them like armor. But the recent rise in anti-Asian violence has showed me that sometimes the shields we crouch behind can be dangerously thin. After 5 months of treatments, the tumor has disappeared, and I am officially in remission. I beat cancer. And now that I've survived lymphoma, I think I'm gonna leave my wigs at home